Hello everybody, welcome to the Comic Game Movie Show. My name's Sean, and today I'm here to talk about arguments. I'm joking. Today I am here to talk about Sam Raimi's Mary Jane. Now, I got into a massive argument on Twitter. Go figure. What am I doing on there? I just do stuff. And one of my subscribers actually kind of like said that I might should talk about things that those arguments I get into and kind of give it to the masses and go, what do you guys think? I've done it a couple times though. I have done it a couple times where I made a video about something I argued on Twitter. Specifically, the whole creator of Deadpool, Rob Liefeld, that Liefeld situation where I made a video about that where Rob Liefeld legit replied to something I said with this huge bit of like snark and stat back, and it just caught me off guard that I got a reply from him for some, and it was like not even that big of a deal. I was like, yeah, because Kevin Feige told you, and like he snapped at me. So this is sort of in the same vein. I got in a big argument about people comparing Tom Holland Spider-Man to Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and it put me down a rabbit hole. And one of the big things that I came out thinking about was how terrible the Sam Raimi Spider-Man Mary Jane is. Oh my gosh, I can't stand her. The Kristen Dunst Mary Jane is awful. She is the worst. Like, if you base a love story off of this, you're doing it wrong. Like really, when I go back and think about those movies, and then to top it off, I watched this. I always forget his name off the top of my head. I subscribe to him, but he's a great. And there's this guy who writes these essays. He's like 10 to 12 minute essays, sometimes 8 to 7, depending on how much he has to talk about. He'll write it on these different things. He writes it on the Guardians. He writes it on Spider-Man. He writes it on Batman. He writes it on different pop culture things that, movies, films, and TV shows, depending on what he feels like writing about. And he was writing on about the difference between the love interest with Zendaya's Michelle Jones, MJ, and, Kristen Dunst's Mary Jane, MJ. And the difference was just shocking to me. And it's one of those things where I'm like, I think people think that MJ was good from nostalgia, because when you go back and watch it, you realize she's a terrible person. Not only does she manipulate, she's manipulative, deceiving, heartless, selfish. She only cares about herself and how she feels. And it's funny because when I was younger and she left that Jonah Jameson's son at the altar to go run back to Peter, when I was younger, I used to think that was such a fun. I was like, yay, this is a hooray moment. I go back and watch that movie, and I'm just like, she just used this man. She used this man to attempt to get over another man. She lingered it out all the way to the wedding, and then she dropped him like a bad habit. I'm supposed to be happy about that. She sat there petty as hell and mad as shit that people like Peter, that people were happy about Peter because her job was, because she's so conceited that the fact that she was having a rough time, she could not be happy for the success of the man she quote unquote loves. That's the kind of person we're talking about. She is constantly a damsel in distress. She is constantly playing with Peter and Harry's emotions to the point where when Peter snaps and lets the symbiote take over his body in Spider-Man 3 and does this whole dance routine, which the less said about that, the better. And to the degree, I mean, the whole sequence is basically supposed to be him being like, fuck you. And she had the nerve to look at him like he was in the wrong, like he fucked up. And I was just like, what? What are you talking about? She was, like I said, she's just that. She just played with Peter's emotions. She toyed with multiple men, and when her career wasn't going the way she wanted to go, she took it out on Peter and fucked with his head. Like, honestly, she is the worst. That's it. She is just the pretty damsel in distress next door. There is nothing to her character. She is very bland. There's nothing to her. Oh, she had trouble at home. Okay. She has trouble at home, and she had a rough career. That's no right to be a dick. That's no right to leave a man standing at the altar after weeks. That's no right to kind of be giving Peter the cold shoulder all the way up until the end of the movie when now you wanna be with me? Now you wanna be with me? After all that shit, now you wanna be with me. And it's just like, and it came out of nowhere, really, because from what we're told in the movie, in the beginning, They've been going to school together for years, and she's never noticed him. And then suddenly she just notices him now, and they have a couple conversations. But like I said, and like all of a sudden she's with them when it was very confusing. It was very confusing. Like I said, that relationship, like looking back when I'm watching those movies again, I'm like, this relationship does not really work that well. And like I said, manipulative as fuck. Like at a certain point, Peter's just outright like, I can't do this because, you know, you're going to be in danger. And then fucking Doc Ock, and then she tries to like bulldozer her way to get this kiss. She's like, I want this kiss. Peter's trying to be responsible. He's trying to be a good dude. He's trying to be responsible. And she's just like, I'm going to get this kiss. And she's leaning in. And, you know, Doc Ock throws like a car through the windshield. So, I mean, through the front window. So that didn't help things. But it was just kind of like, yo, man, like I said, I hate her. I don't like her as a Mary Jane. I never did. Now, Michelle is different. She's different. And oh man, I wish I could show you guys that fucking video. Because the guy was talking about how Mary Jane was created to be a counter, to be a contrarian. She was created to be the opposite of what a love interest should be. Because at the time when Peter Parker was created, when Spider-Man was created, he had Gwen Stacy, and Gwen Stacy was very much this, you know, pretty damsel in distress girl who's, you know, she's straight, you know, book straight. She's this innocent sweetheart, and that's what she was made to be. And that's what, you know, because back in the day, that's what a love interest was. But Mary Jane wasn't that. She was a party girl. She was out. She was doing stuff. She was involved. She could drop a motherfucker if she needed to. She could do all these things. She was out doing stuff. Like she was the opposite of what the traditional love interest is. So the irony is that Sam Raimi Spider-Man just basically did some old school shit by just making her the traditional damsel in distress, beautiful, not much else to her other than anything that has to do with Spider-Man, her being annoying, and like they just tried to make her that traditional, you know, love interest. But the irony is, in the MCU, Michelle is the exact opposite of a traditional love interest. She's quirky. She's got a dark sense of humor. She's not dressed up. She's not wearing makeup. She's not, you know, dressed to the nine. She's not dressed to the nine. She's not a redhead. She's the opposite, but she's a sweet girl who cares, who's thoughtful, who's a smart girl. She's not this magnet school, so clearly she's a smart girl. And who feels like an actual person. And the thing I came to in the end was that Sam Raimi, Spider-Man, Mary Jane felt like an idea. She was an idea. You think of the kind of girl you want, the idea of her, you don't actually want that. You want something in the proximity. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want the ideal girl in your head. You don't want her. You want someone in the proximity. And that's what the Mary Jane from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man was. It was like, no, this is a girl. This is an idea. She's not a person. She's an idea. She's an idea. She's kind of a vague idea. While Michelle Jones, you know, Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home's MJ is a person. She's a girl. She's an actual girl. You could see her and be like, yep, that's a her behavior, her snarky attitude. I know people like that. I know girls like that who make those stupid jokes. And like those girls who kind of play it cool and kind of play it dark so that they can hide all that shit they're feeling. Like, it's real shit. She's an actual character. Now, you might not like it because you have ideas of what a Mary Jane's supposed to be. You have an image of what it's supposed to be. But that's it. It's just an image. But it's not an actual person. It's just an image of this purple, angel, blonde, beautiful girl. And that's, I mean, not blonde, redhead, beautiful girl. But it's just like, no, dude. I like I said, going back and looking at those movies, the thing that just stuck out to me the most is just how annoying, how selfish, how self-centered, how arrogant, just how manipulative, and just how waste of space that Mary Jane really was. And honestly, the only good thing she did in those movies was nearly die, because at least we got some cool shots of Peter jumping to save her. Thank you guys for joining the Comic Game Movie Show. Please remember to like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.